Hey ladies, it's Suzanne. I'm a holistic stress relief mentor and I help women to relieve anxiety, chronic stress, and build confidence. So it's Sunday and a couple things in my weekend just kind of turned upside down, and I actually had some time today. So I wanted to come on and talk to share a lot about why we have problems. So why do we have problems? What is the root of these problems that we have? Really, it's because we've got this programming in our mind and our body. And I know we hear the words mind body all the time. It's just become like a buzzword. But truly, everything that you are doing to operate in your life is coming from an internal program. And that program is rooted from thoughts, beliefs, and experiences that we have. So no matter what your stress or struggle is, no matter what your problem is, the root of it is that there's some type of a cycle, pattern, routine of thinking, of beliefs, of stories, of experiences, as well as the body's nervous system and its pattern and programming for how it does that thing. That when we are experiencing that problem, that stress, that struggle, whatever it is, we're like kicking off these patterns inside of us. And these patterns, like I said, come in the forms of the same exact type of thoughts, the same exact type of beliefs, beliefs about the external world, beliefs about ourselves. And then they show up in the form of situations and experiences and storylines in our life. And then our body also has a cellular memory of how it knows how to react to those thoughts, beliefs, experiences, situations. So it says, oh, we got this. We know how to do this. Even if it's something that you don't want, it doesn't matter. The body knows how to respond to it, because once it's responded one time to it, and another time in the same way, and another time, and we keep repeating it over and over and over because we think the same thought over and over and over, the body's going to practice that pattern. It's going to practice that as a routine, a cycle. And so what we're doing when we're tapping is we're literally breaking that connection between the mind and the body. Almost like to say, hey, stop it. Don't get stuck there. Keep that energy moving. Keep those thoughts going. Keep that storyline going. Don't get stuck there. What happens to us is that we have a life experience. It's so impactful on us. It's impactful on our energy body. It kind of takes our breath away. It's impactful because the meaning that we've given it had such an opposite perspective than maybe what we were thinking about, that we just can't rationalize it. It baffles us. We stay stuck in that inability to rationalize it and integrate it. And then it lives in our nervous system, because our nervous system is just the manager of all of our body systems. It helps us keep alive. It manages our body's stress response, as well as does other things too. It makes us breathe and helps us blink, and it keeps our heart beating and all these awesome things that it does just to keep the body functioning. But the nervous system is constantly on guard, tingling, sensing our environment, so that it knows what it needs to do in order to deploy resources within our body to go and keep us alive. And so fight or flight is a state of your nervous system keeping you alive. The thing is, we're not supposed to be living there chronically all the time. The body wants to be able to rest and recover. It doesn't want to stay up there in that heightened state of stress. So why we have problems is because we have thoughts and beliefs and experiences and stories that we keep locked in our mind, that we've got living in our body as patterns and cycles and routines. And this is why tapping, I think, is the most powerful tool, because it really can literally help you to reprogram your stress, revitalize your energy, give yourself that energy back. And then in that, you're going to reclaim your power from whatever it was that you gave it to outside of yourself, whether it was a storyline that somebody else convinced you of, or a belief that they convinced you of, or just your body being on that out of control pattern. It's going to help you be able to get some momentum toward regulating your body. Regulating meaning is a term, what it really truly means is that you're helping your body settle down, get to a place of personally normal. Some people can go 100 miles an hour. Good for them. That's not me. I'm more like your 25-mile-an-hour girl. I like going a little slow. I don't like going too fast. I mean, it might feel good to go fast, but I feel much more in control of things in a safe and trusting way when I'm going slower, even though life is pushing us to go faster. And sometimes I want to go fast. Then as soon as I try and go fast, I'm like, there we go again. Right off into the bushes I go, metaphorically speaking. I just can't go fast. So tapping is that technique that in the moment of, oh, it's that thought I keep thinking, oh, it's that type of person I always meet, that type of experience I have, whether it's at my job or with my friends or my family, or maybe it's with my finances or with my health. If it's the same thing that you're doing over and over and over again, you're like conditioning your mind and you're conditioning your body to have a certain attitude, behavior, reaction, response. And the body and the mind love patterns. Hey, we figured this out. We figured this out. Hey, Tiffany, I see you're here. Thanks for joining. We're just talking about why we have problems and how we kind of get wrapped around our life into this identity of who we think we are based on the problems that we have, based on the life experiences that we have. We truly create our identity by how we think, how we perceive, what we're convinced by, whether we are convinced by other people or ourselves. And that is the answer for how to unlock yourself to be able to get to a different point of view, a different perspective. And that means truly learning to honor yourself in the process. So why we have problems is because we have thoughts and beliefs and stories and experiences that lead us to have a reaction in our body and our body's response to those things. And then it's a full-on orchestration between the mind and the body. So when the mind thinks these thoughts, the body says, oh, I know how to respond to this. We've done this before. So every time you think that thought, even if it's a thought that you don't like, one that doesn't serve you, one that beats the crap out of you, and you're like, I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve to have that, or see, I didn't get what I needed, or I don't have enough money, or why do I have this health problem? The body goes, we got this. We're going to go do that routine now. And then you stay anchored in all that garbage, that stuff that's just not true. It's just programming. And literally from when we're younger, between the ages of like birth and 7, when we're just living in a complete state of hypnosis, when we're completely just impressionable based on how we feel, we're just little sponges, learning sponges, just doing exactly what it is that we learn. You know, I have a girlfriend who says shit all the time. And I asked her son, you know, what does shit mean? And he says, it means when something falls down. Like he's put it together. He knows what the word is and he knows what it means, because in his point of view, when mommy drops something, it means shit. And that's how he's trained himself to understand that. That's not a word he understands or has any capacity to figure out at that age. He has no consciousness of it. He's 4. So when you're young, you're completely impressionable to learn all these things based on the influences that we have in our environment. And however they are showing us what it is that, you know, we're then creating beliefs about. And then when we get older, we continue to live and operate by these beliefs. And these things can be really damaging to who we are and how we want to live life. And so when we start to look at those thoughts that we have on a daily basis, what do you think about yourself? What do you think about your job? What do you think about your finances? What do you think about your relationship? What do you think about those people that are involved in your work, your friendships, your relationships, your family, your job? What do you think about them? What beliefs do you have about them? What kind of storylines play out in your life over and over and over again to the point where you're like, I can't take it anymore. I've got massive anxiety. I've got depression. I've got ADD. I've got migraines. I've got CFS. I've got irritable bowel. I might have other autoimmune issues. The body is trying to tell you what's going on. And instead of treating the symptom, we can treat the root core, which is the programming behind it. And that's where tapping is this powerful technique that helps you get right into that subconscious mind. And that's why often when we tap, I say to you, let's go to the thing that you don't want anymore. Oh, the stress, the struggle, this anxiety, this depression, this lack of money, this problem, this conflict, whatever it is, you want to get right up close to it. You want to get so close to it you can touch it, because it's in that connection with it that you are able to teach it something new, upgrade the program. We have no problem when it's time for our phones to get upgraded. No problem at all. We have no problem when it's time to change the gas in our car or put gas in our car. We have no problem when we say, oh, these shoes have a hole in it, I need to get new shoes. But when it comes to our own lives, we need to give ourselves permission to upgrade our own programming. It is the programming that we are still using, from when we were much younger, that we're looking out like through our eyes into our life experience to go find and validate. And if it's not giving you the results that you want, then you need to say to yourself, this is just outdated programming. These are outdated thoughts. These are outdated beliefs. And I love them so much because they got me to this point. They protected me in some certain way, but now I know more information. Life has taught me more. And I can go and upgrade my own belief system. I can upgrade my own programming at a cellular level inside of my nervous system, in the genes of my body, in the genetics of my body. And I can do that through tapping. Tapping will give me the access to get into those body systems, get into the mind, get into all of those mental thoughts that we might be thinking about. Go to all the records that you have of every time this has happened to you. And how we get there is we go to the ones that stand out the most. Remember, I teach tapping in 4 easy steps. Step number 1 is always to notice what bothers you and how it bothers you. Whatever that stress and struggle is, how do you know it bothers you? When you think about it, how do you think about it? How do you experience it? Do you see it as a picture in your mind, someone's face, a movie that you've recorded that you haven't forgotten about? Do you hear it as a voice, a noise, a sound, your voice, their voice? Do you feel it as something in the body? Maybe it's just a pain or a tightness or a tension, you want to throw up or something, anxiety, whatever it might be. That's always step number 1 to tapping. Step number 2 is give it an intensity number on a scale of 0 to 10. If 0 doesn't really bother you, 10 is it really bothers you, give it an intensity number. Step number 3 is the most important step. This is where you want to get so up close to that thing that you know is exactly why you don't like it, you don't feel good, you're just bothered by it, it's causing that stress and struggle. It's that specific thing. You want to get to that specific thing when you get up close to it so you can touch it, taste it, smell it, lick it, be right there with it. Be as close to it as you possibly can. That's where you want to be when you're tapping. You can't just be tapping and like doing 10 things at the same time. You have to be specific. You've got to get to that part of your problem that is the worst part. The part where you're like, I don't want to go there. That's the part that just doesn't feel good. Go there. That is how you unlock your problem. That is where the program exists inside of you, inside of your mind, inside of your memories, inside of your body's memory. So when you're right there up close with it and you're tapping at the same time is literally where you're setting yourself free. So Tiffany says, hi with hearts, so sweet, love it. Thanks for joining me on a Sunday. I just thought I would come on here. So if you're joining us, we're having a conversation about problems. And believe me, I got lots of problems. And I have to almost stare myself in the face and say, it's me against my programming. Because me is whole and complete. Me is immensely worthy. Me is incredibly wonderful and beautiful. But then I've got all these storylines in my life that say, oh, no, you're not. Not there, not there, not there, not there, definitely not there. And all of that is evidence and proof of internal programming that we can upgrade. That we can really just go, nope, I'm going to take that evidence and look at it and say, this is evidence of a program. This is evidence of a routine that's built in my mind and my body, and it's partly who I think I am. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's me against my programming. Does that make sense? It's you against your programming. Because as you are, as you exist, as you take this breath today, you are worthy. You are lovable. You are valuable. You deserve everything that it is that you want. It is your programming that is in the way of that. And your evidence of your programming shows up in your life as storylines and experiences and situations that you can now say to yourself, oh, that is not me. That's just what's happening around me right now because I am emitting a signal. I'm vibrating a signal. I am practicing what I know inside of me to be able to see these points of view. You know, it's like, let me find a good analogy. It's like when you really want to buy a red car and everybody else seems to have one except for you. So when you're driving on the road, you're like, oh, there's a red car and there's a red, and I'm not driving the red car, but there's a red car, red car, red car. But you can see it all around you because you know how to see it. Our whole life experience is just, as adults, We are knowing how to see it because of how much we've practiced it and experienced it before. You know, when somebody tells you something and you're like, oh, I never thought about that way. Wow, like that just totally flipped it on its head for me now. I never really thought about that. That's what tapping can give you, is a whole new way to have a perspective about something. So we have this focus on ways that we think about things, on how we view things, on what we believe about things. And that's where we stay stuck. Because what you know is where you're stuck. But where you're stuck is just the opportunity for you to wiggle free from and keep it growing and going. My latest favorite thing is grow and go. How do you grow? As you learn the wisdom, right? I was sharing this analogy last week of, why do we look both ways before we cross the road? Because it's smart, right? It's wisdom. It's wisdom that someone shared with us and we said, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to do it. Why does it make a lot of sense? Do we have to recall the horrific accident that somebody had when they didn't look both ways? No, we don't sit there on the side of the road and go, well, before we cross the road, we should tell this story about this person that tried to cross the road and they didn't look both ways. No, we don't relive the story every time we're going to cross the road. We just keep the wisdom of look both ways before you cross the road. Thanks for the wisdom. I keep it growing and going now. I just keep going. With your life, it's like you're stopping at the side of the road to go, well, that accident, oh my God, it was so horrible. And then we all learned that we had to look both ways before we crossed the road. No, don't need to do it that way anymore. That is literally looking at your program, dissecting it, and becoming an expert at your program. It's like sitting in your car and going, oh, I hate this song. But then you turn the radio up. Then you turn the volume louder. And like, but I hate the song. But then you're like, but I'll turn it louder. But I hate the song. You turn it louder and louder. That's the definition of insanity. So when you're living out your life and not getting the result you want, know that you are practicing programs within you that you can gain access to through tapping, and that you can totally shift to get to a place of wisdom. That way you're just keeping the wisdom of the information and not the details of the story that you keep living over and over and over again. So we keep having these life experiences until we get it, until we click in with the wisdom of look both ways before you cross the road, but don't remember the accident that happened. That's long, long, long ago. We don't need to remember that. Just hang on to the wisdom. That way we can grow and go to the next thing until we learn the wisdom of that thing. Now, there are things that we learn really fast sometimes that are really easy to us because maybe they make a lot of sense to us, or there was something that we were looking for as a different point of view, and we go, oh, that's great, thanks for letting me know that. And then you just kind of move on from there. But there's other things that are more deep-seated inside of us because we've been doing them since we were little, doing them for decades. And we have lots of evidence, lots of proof, lots of experiences that line up behind us to say, but this is who I must be because this constantly happens for me. Or I've always had these addictive tendencies, or I'm an emotional overeater because of this. I always have to cope in certain ways, or maybe I've got cancer, or maybe I've got some kind of migraine situation or irritable bowel, whatever you might have. I mean, there's a lot of women I speak with who have chronic fatigue. What is chronic fatigue? It is the act of ultimate self-betrayal. You have denied your body so much its own expression, it has shut down on you and it is in pain. And you need to learn to find trust and safety in expressing your own self-expression to get your needs met on your terms. When you're not doing that, the body is going to be in so much pain. It's going to make you feel like you can't move because you've compromised yourself. Every single stress and struggle that we have can be traced back to some initial thought, belief, experience, story that probably happened a long time ago. It's like when you first learned to ride a bike. You're like, okay, so here's the handlebars, where are the pedals, how do I do this? And you're like hyper-focused on trying to learn how to ride the bike. And now here you are decades later and you're like, oh, I know how to ride a bike. I just jump on the bike and I go. That's being on autopilot. That's called a subconscious program. And so your life is you against your programs, the things that you don't want to have happen anymore. Even if you're like, well, Suzanne, how does that even make sense to me? I just have a problem with my boss. How does that have anything to do with programming? Or I just need more money in my bank. Or I just want these migraines to go away. How does that have anything to do with programming? If you have something in your life that is a stress or struggle to the degree in which you are suffering with it, then behind that stress or struggle is a compounded series of thoughts, beliefs, stories, experiences that life has triggered you to respond to have, unique to your perspective, your perception, that's living in your body. It's living in your mind, in your mental thoughts. It's living in your memories and the records of who you think you are based on what you remember to have happened. It's living in the cells of your body and the genes of your body. All of that can be reversed. All of that can be turned around if you're willing and persistent to get to the root of what's going on. And how we get there is we start with the storylines. You got to get up close. Remember, 4 steps of tapping. Notice what bothers you. Give it an intensity number. Go to the worst part of it, the part that stands out the most, the part that where you're just like, oh, God, it doesn't feel good here. I don't like this part. That's when you're super up close to it. That's when you can really just get right next to it. And when you're right next to it, nice and close to it, is exactly when you want to start tapping. That's the time. What to say? Let it go. I'm letting it go. Breathe. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. If you want to say anything else, say the story of what it is that you're experiencing. Oh, it's this headache in my head. It's so sharp. It's so painful. I always get these headaches. Oh, it's this disease in my body. It's stuck in the cells of my body. It's giving me this result. It's making me sick, tired all the time, lethargic. Whatever it is, go to those details and start to literally throw up those details, regurgitate all those details, because that's going to help you stay right there at that place. And that's where you want to be, right there in that part that just doesn't feel good, that uncomfortable place. Oh, it doesn't feel good right there. I don't like how they looked at me, what they said to me. You know, I never forgot how they said it, that tone of voice, what the word, what their facial expression was, their body language. Oh, I saw that. Oh, I feel it in my body. I'm holding my breath. I'm tensing up my whole body. All of that is the detail of what's locking that program inside of you. So if you are having a stress or struggle, then you have to look at it now and say, it's me against the programming that's creating this result. Because who I am is I'm immensely valuable. You are immensely valuable. You are worthy. You are whole. You are complete. It's you against the programming that's outdated. It needs to get upgraded. It doesn't serve you anymore. I mean, say you had to go to the dentist and get a tooth pulled. Would you go and say, no Novocaine for me. That's okay. Just pull it out. I'll just white knuckle it, you know? No. Technology advances for a reason. We say, yes, give us the Novocaine, please. Thank you. And then you can pull the tooth out. You know? We have these advances in technology to be able to help us move through life. Take advantage of them. We're living by outdated programming that we learned when we were much younger, when we were very impressionable, when we were literally living life based completely like a sponge of emotion. And you know this because when you see little kids, they're just so honest because they don't have a conscious thought process to things. They're just living their life based on how they feel. But if we learn things at that time about life, about who we were at that time, we don't need to carry them on the road of life forever. It's like every day you're waking up and you're getting in your car to go somewhere, and it's like you're strapping your 5-year-old version of yourself in the front seat, and you're like, where are we going today? You know, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to drive. Where should we go? And this is why you run off into the bushes. You know, this is why sometimes you're just like, oh God, because you've got this younger version of you with this outdated old programming that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So when you look at your life stress and struggle, you have to look at it and say, it's me who I am whole, complete, beautiful, full of strength, full of integrity, full of self-honor, against the programming. The programming are life experiences, situations, stories, thoughts, beliefs that have created a record in my mind that I reflect on as memories. They're created as routines and patterns in my own body systems. By body systems, I mean cardiovascular system, endocrine system, respiratory system, You name it, every system, every body system, musculoskeletal system, every body system that our nervous system manages, it goes into autopilot. And thank God that it does, because some things we really need it to be on autopilot and it works for us. But I'm only talking about the things that you stress and you struggle about, the things where you have problems about. When you have problems, how do you know you have a problem? Go right to that part that you don't like. Right there to that part you don't like. It's what they said, what they did. Didn't sit good with me. Nope, don't like it at all. Oh, I don't like how my body's reacting. Or maybe it's just, I've got this autoimmune issue. I've got this chronic stress symptom or disease in my body. And my body's trying to tell me a story. And I'm ready to start listening to it now. It's you against your programming. You against programming that's outdated. You against old stories that are creating programs in your nervous system, in your body, that show up as life experiences that create stress and struggle for you, that you can recall as memories. How we gain access to them is through your memories. What bothers you? How do you know it bothers me? Well, last Tuesday, this thing happened, and oh my God, it was horrible. Do you know what she said? Do you know what he said? Do you know what happened? Let me tell you the whole story. That is like sitting in your car, listening to a radio song that you hate, and you're playing it louder and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until you're going insane. So stop that. In that moment, go, oh, there's my program. I'm seeing it as a memory in my mind. I remember exactly what they said, what they did, what, how I felt about it all. There is getting up nice and close to it. That's the key. That's the key to unlock your problems, because it's at that exact point that you want to be tapping on these tapping points. And there's just a few of them, not that many. All you have to say is let it go, or say nothing at all. Rather, I'd be having you be focused on that thing that really bothers you. So when I work with men, they're telling me this whole long story, stress, 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 problem, 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 taking all these notes back. And all I do is give these words right back to them to help them keep focused on that thing that they don't like. Because the longer that they stay there while they're tapping at the same time, it really helps to wiggle that problem free. If you imagine that as like a fist, and you've been holding that fist for, I don't know, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, 50 years, I don't know. How long have you had this exact problem? Well, when you're tapping, you're going to start to wiggle free this problem. And this might be a little bit much, it might be a little painful to like unclench that fist after a while, because it might have been really locked on there. You may have been super attached to it to the point where you're like, I'm not letting this go. I deserve an apology. I want them to do right by me. They're going to figure it out. They have to figure out my way. Well, hello. And now all of a sudden we can't move this pinky. And that's called cancer. Now all of a sudden I can't move this pinky. This is called chronic fatigue. Now I can't move this pinky. This is called anxiety. Now I can't move this finger. Maybe this is depression. I don't know what your symptoms are. There are a variety of things. We all demonstrate our life stresses in different ways. But really metaphorically is you're holding on, you're gripping on to a point of view that you're not letting go of, because, well, that's how my mother taught it to me. That's what life has shown me. How's that working for you? It's you against your programming. You are valuable. You are whole and complete. You are worthy of what it is that you want. Take the evidence of what your life experience is creating as your stress and your struggle and look at it and say, that's just a program. Yep, I'm going to take accountability. It's my program. I've practiced it that way. It's now living in my mind as memories and records. It's now living in my body as cycles and routines and patterns. And I can do something about it. I can do something about it. I can start to tap in that moment that I'm right there in that, I'm having a panic attack. I'm having a panic attack. I feel my chest starting to tighten. My heart, like my I can't breathe anymore. Oh my God, these thoughts are racing. I got overthinking thoughts going. I'm right there. I'm right there. I'm right there. Is exactly when you start to tap. Because tapping is going to be able to send a message to the brain. This part of the brain called the amygdala. Don't worry about it. It's a part of the brain. It's really a part of the brain. It's like a fire alarm. And when you calm down that amygdala, it's going to send a message to the nervous system that says, hey, Call off the guards. We're good. We're not being chased by, you know, a bear right now. We're good. We're good. Calm down. It's okay. And the body can start to calm down. We can start to like lighten up that tension. We can start to regulate our heartbeat. We can start to calm down our breathing more. That's why breath work is so important. If we just take intentional, slow, deep breaths, we can start to send messages to the body to say everything's okay. If I'm taking deep breaths and I'm not running from something, I'm okay. Hey, Melissa Hayes, thanks for joining. We're just talking about stress. It's just Sunday afternoon and I'm home today and I thought I'm going to come on and just talk about problems, stress, why we have stress, what we can do about it, how we literally are a walking program of our memories and routines and patterns that are locked in our body that we may have inherited from generations before, that we may have been anchored by our own immediate family and life experiences that we're having in, you know, our own intimate relationships, our friendships, our jobs, our families. If you've got that tunnel vision, and this is the only way you see things is just through this lens, you're missing a lot. You're missing a lot. And that's what happens to us is we just learn how to see things one way. And then we say, well, that's how we just see it. That's how we see it. That's how we see it. That's how we receive it. That's how we perceive it. But there is a lot more going on than that narrow vision. Even though we go, nope, this is how we know how to see it. This is the right way to see it. This is the logical way to see it. If that creates anxiety, if that creates overthinking, if that diminishes your self-worth, if that creates chronic stress and disease in the body, maybe there's another way to see it. Maybe. Tapping helps you to be able to loosen your grip. Remember that grip. Helps you loosen that grip. That way you can wiggle it free and go, wait a minute. There maybe is some more information here. Maybe I wasn't seeing it that way. You know, I had a male client about 10 years ago, and he used to come to me and he was so angry because between where he comes from and where my office was, he had to go through about 7 traffic lights. And every time he'd be on his way to see me, he would hit every red light. And so he'd get to me and he'd be like so furious. He's like, every time I come here, I hit every red light. I'm stuck at these red lights. I always get red lights. And he would be so angry about it, you know? So we would be tapping on all of his anger, all these red lights, all this anger. Until one moment he had this shift in perspective and said, every light turns green. So every time I'm at a light, he had to then say, I always get green lights. Because there is no red light he's still sitting at. Nope. But that was his stress and struggle. He was like, I always get red lights. It's always a red light. Every time you see a green light, he'd say, oh, it's going to turn red. Yep. But it always turns green too. There is no red light he's still sitting at. And that shift in perception for him made him laugh out loud. He was like, wow, every light does turn green. I always get green lights. Because if you always get red lights, you always get green lights. Because the light doesn't always stay red. There's not one red light you're all still sitting at right now. It eventually turns green. So as much as you get red lights, you get green lights. And you have to say that as an equal truth. I always get green lights. It's 100% true. There's no light that doesn't turn green. They all turn green. But when you have got that focus, I only get red lights. I get red lights. I see red lights. Red lights are everywhere. Red light, red light, red light, red light, red light, red light. They all turn green. Flip it around. Wow, that's relief. That's what tapping can give you. When you are stuck in your stress and struggle, it's you against your programming. The program of how you know how to focus and perceive things based on how you think, you believe, from the memories and the stories that you've captured, that you've held on to you, that are buried as cycles and patterns in your nervous system. And we do this because we're humans, right? And we're like, we're going to make life more efficient for us. We got more stuff to do. Wow, I figured out how to do that. It's like every day you know where to find your toothbrush. You don't have to think about, where do I put this today? Where's a good place today? Nope, it's right there. I know where it is. I can expect it. I rely on it being there. My body knows how to go get it right there when I need it. Does the same thing for the things that you don't want to. Oh yeah, there's the red light again. Yeah, I hate those red lights. They piss me off. They give me a headache. They make me want to throw up. They give me a panic attack. Oh yeah, they create cancer in my body and chronic fatigue in my body. And yep, I'm pissed. Your body's always protecting you, even if it gives you a result that you don't want. If you don't like the result, it's you against your programming. What's your programming? Your thoughts, your beliefs from the experiences that you have. How do you access it? Through your memories. Go to the stories. Well, what's your red light story? What is it? I go to a job every day where my boss hates me and he's mean to me. She is mean to me. My coworkers are horrible. They don't do anything. My spouse, we don't communicate. They do nothing nice for me. They don't appreciate me. They take advantage of me. I'm always overgiving to them. I'm depleted and wiped out, and then out comes angry wife. Out comes angry mommy. Out comes, leave me alone. I've had a chronic problem in my body. I've had chronic fatigue for 10 years. I'm now bedridden. I can't get out of bed. I'm in pain all the time. Nobody does anything for me. I have to do everything for myself. They do it the wrong way when they try and do it. All right. There's your program. There's your evidence. There's your proof. There's your proof that you have outdated programming. Before I was sharing, right? We have no problem upgrading our phones. Phone needs to get upgraded? Go get a new one. Car oil needs to get changed? Go change the oil. Car's out of gas? You go put more gas in it. But we are walking around with the belief system, which I love to say this phrase, but we're walking around with a lot of BS. You think bullshit, right? Belief system of crap that's outdated, that we learned back when we were really young and impressionable, when we were just these little sponges of kids, like emotionally absorbing all of this information. And then we believed it because when you're little and you're just living and operating by that, that emotional part of your body, you believe everything literally. So as we get older, we need to upgrade those programs because we've learned more since then. We have more wisdom. We don't need to keep operating by the old manual, I mean, I don't know anybody who still has a rotary phone or has like a phone plugged into the wall anymore. I mean, a lot of older people might still have it, but I don't think any of the younger generations do. My mother might have one, but she's like in her 70s. But still, I don't think she needs it. She uses her cell phone more. But there was a time where we used these things, where we used things before we had the upgrade. We used to go to the dentist when there wasn't Novocaine. We used to, sit up and change the TV channel before there was a remote control. We used to be in cars where you had to manually shift all the gears all the time. There were things that we did that we allowed upgrades to occur, and we said, oh, thank God. Oh, now it's so much easier. Now we can live by this new way, and it's just so much better. But then there's the things that we have within us. My mom taught it to me that way. My whole family does it that way. I have to do it that way too. Or, well, it's always just happened to me. It's always that kind of, I'm always with these narcissists all the time. I guess that's all I deserve. One more narcissistic relationship where they just, constantly taking from me. I'm so empathic. I'm so sensitive. Yep, I'm just a giver. It's happened all the time. Old programming. Are you ready for the upgrade? Do you want the upgrade? Who would that mean if you upgraded yourself? You'd actually get to have the life that you want. But careful what you wish for. I wanted to live my life purpose. I wanted to live aligned and authentic to who I was. I wanted to live a day without having to take 10 Xanax and be an emotional overeater and feel awful about myself. In the journey of my own through tapping, I was able to access my own value, be able to have the confidence and a plan and a strategy to go live my life purpose. But along the way, I lost significant relationships in my family, in my friends, in my community. And I had to be willing to do that at the cost of my own self-honor. And so it is a journey. It is a journey to let go of what we were gripped onto and be willing to find something else, a new program, a new routine, a new pattern. But I'll tell you, in doing so, you will be so liberated. You'll be so free of your stress, free of your struggle, because you will come to a place of revitalizing your own energy and reclaiming your power back to be your own. See, we've all just been so brainwashed our whole lives to doing things for other groups, organizations, institutions, cultures, religions, whatever it might be, rules that we live by for them. But what we're coming to understand now is that they never really worked for us. We just all agreed to them because everybody else was agreeing to them. And we said, all right, well, we'll agree too, you know? And now you're like, yeah, now see what happened over there in that organization? Yeah, maybe it was kind of built on some shaky foundation, and I don't want to align myself with that anymore. That doesn't really feel good. Well, who am I? Who do I become then? You become you again. You become you outside of all those masks, outside of all that conditioning, outside of all of that. That is your programming working against you. So you can reclaim yourself. Maybe you've never known this version of you, but she's in there. And I'm telling you, if you're listening to me right now, she's like banging out the freaking door, man. She's like, stop the anxiety, stop the depression, stop the overthinking, please. Let's just find out how to be in alignment with ourselves and honor ourselves. Put self-care in our life first. Be appreciative of every ounce of who we are instead of letting the world diminish our value and let the world convince us that we should be comparing ourselves to other people and other things. That's BS, right? What's BS? Belief systems that are working against you. So hey, I see D joined. Hey D. Yes, Melissa, our thoughts become our reality. Absolutely. Karen's here. Hey, Karen. And Tiffany says, yes, with a beautiful red heart. Thank you for saying that. So I want to come on to share with you why we have problems, what's behind those problems, what we can do about those problems. So in short, we have problems because we have a focus and perception of thoughts, beliefs that live in our body and our mind as memories and stories and records. They even live in the genes and the cells of our body. How we know that they exist is in the storylines of the things that bother us. What bothers you? I ask you when you join this group, what's your stress and struggle? What is it? And you all share with me either some symptom or some experience or some recurring thing. That's your evidence. That's your programming. It's you against your programming. You are whole, complete, immensely valuable, worthy. Grab onto that and know that. And so when you look at your problems, you can go, that's not really me. That's just how I'm programmed to behave, my attitude, my expression. I don't like it. How do I change that? Got to be willing and persistent. What's the technique? Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Get up close to that thing that you don't like, the thing that makes you so uncomfortable, that thing you're like, oh no, I don't want to be there. Oh gosh, it doesn't feel good. Oh, this is the panic attack. This is the pain in the body. This is, oh, how they said that thing to me in that tone of voice. Oh gosh, doesn't feel good. Oh, I'm so mad about it. I'm so sad about it. I'm so out of control about it. You're right up close to that. Right there. You're right there with it. That's when you want to tap. Right? 4 steps of tapping. Notice what bothers you. Give it an intensity number on a scale of 0 to 10. Go to the worst part. Go to that part right there. Oh, that part right there. Oh, I don't like it. Step number 4, tap. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Melinda says, haha, for real. Seriously. You against your programming. Even when you're in a relationship, because I coach a lot of couples, and I'm like, it's you two in your love, against the programming. You guys love each other. It's all the programming BS belief system that's around you that you got to clear out. You guys have the union. Clear out the crappy beliefs that are clouding your relationship, that are creating the conflict and the struggle and the, oh, that time I don't want to be abandoned again. All that crap can go. Hey, Nikki, thanks for joining. And Kaylee's here. Yeah, let go of the ego. Well, the ego will fight to the death, man. The ego is like, look, we figured out how to survive, and I don't care if you think it's crazy. This is how we do it, all right? And that's why we're going to keep doing it this way. But you're like, but every time we do that, we drive the car off the side of the road, and then we have to get someone to pull us out of the ditch. And the ego is like, I don't care. We kept you safe, right? We're going to do that every time. So just get used to it. And you're going to be like, yeah, sorry, ego. Can't do it that anymore. I want to kind of stay on the road and not be driving off into the ditch every corner. So while that was a strategy that may have kept us alive with a little fender bender in life, not working anymore. We want to upgrade. We want to do something else now. We want to stay on the road. Maybe we're going to go a little slower now. Maybe we're going to be a little more purposeful. Maybe we're going to choose our focus. Maybe we're not just going to do it your way anymore. Thank you so much for keeping us alive all these years. Now, ego, there are smarter ways to do things, and I know how smart you want to be. Let's upgrade. Let's upgrade our programming. That way we're not having to call the AAA and get us towed out of the side of the road every other day. Yeah, Kayla says the struggle against the indoctrination can be so real. Yeah, and we've become so brainwashed by cultures, organizations, institutions, or jobs that we belong to, groups that we belong to, for the whole purpose of what? Connection. We're yearning for this connection. We want to feel like we will belong. We want to feel, as humans, we intuitively want to be connected to another human, and especially as women, we want to have that connection, that experience of real, what they call being immobile without fear, meaning we can be closely in proximity to another human being without being our ancestral animals where we want to kill each other. But we've kind of devolved back to that, like, that place of fight or flight, and we don't need to live there. We're not meant to live there. So yeah, all of that condition that we've gone through is in our own selfish attempts, some through the ego, to be connected to something, because we yearn for connection. Even if that connection sometimes makes us have to betray ourselves. Ouch. And then we don't realize that we're doing that because we just did it that way for a long time, maybe like our whole lives. And we're like, oh crap, was I doing that the whole time? I really was believing a rule for you instead of me? Oh man, that revelation is coming down hard on a lot of women right now, especially women who are going through major life transitions, who are like, I supported my husband, my spouse for 20-something years, 30-something years, and made them up and sacrificed X, Y, and Z in my own life. And I did it because that's what I thought I was supposed to do as a wife, as a partner. And in the end, they had no problem just cutting away from me and leaving. And who am I now? So yeah, we become so cloaked by the real world. The real world being opportunity, curiosity, exploration of who we want to be, not who we're conditioned to be. So Patricia says, thank you so much for all your posts. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm just talking to myself to re-anchor in myself. I had something happen yesterday where I really got triggered into an old program about something. I went to a place that I don't normally go to because I used to go there, and it's kind of part of an old life of mine. So I was there and I was experiencing it again. And it really, really, really just got me close up to that part I didn't like. And I had to remind myself that it wasn't me that was reacting that way. It was a program inside of me. And that I have control over upgrading my programs because I have willingness and I will be persistent I'm getting to the root of this to be able to transform it for myself. That way I can live in a place of self-honor. But as you go through this journey, and I've been on this journey 15 years of tapping, there's still going to be places and spaces and people and things that will trigger you to help get you to those deeper layers of letting go. And by letting go, you don't literally let anything go. What you're doing is coming back to a place of self-honor, so that you're no longer betraying yourself for the external world to get connection. You're learning how to connect within as being the consistent, trusting, unconditional love that you're looking for. And yes, when you're there, you will bring and receive into your life the kinds of respectable, self-honoring connections that you really will be able to find satisfying. Until then, you're going to keep tripping off onto the sides of the ditches in the road as your evidence of outdated programming. Hey, Cindy Hamill, thanks for joining. So Kaylee said she's living through that transition now. It isn't easy, but it's absolutely necessary to become our true selves. Yeah. And believe me, it is not a journey for the faint of heart. You need to fight for your own life. You know, what's the Zen proverb says, let go or be dragged. You've got to learn to let go of the meaning that you've given the things in your life that you agreed to believe in order to receive connection. To know that there's more to see than the focus that you may have had. There's more going on, right? I don't know who else has been hanging on with me here, but we talked about the red lights versus the green lights. There's all green lights out there. There's all red lights out there. Which do you choose to put your focus on? If they're red lights, then there could be a lot of stress and struggle. If they're green lights, keep going. Kaylee says, growth from the struggles is essential. Otherwise, your struggle is worthless. How else do we get wise? How do we learn something? Because we have to go through it. We're all here to be able to get the wisdom to be able to go to the next place. I truly believe that it's our focus that creates our awareness, that creates our stress and struggle, or our opportunity to be able to integrate it from a place of self-honor. That way we can grow and keep going. And if you get stuck in that part of, I just keep seeing that focus, I keep having that awareness, I keep having that proof, then you can stay looping there. And the body will join you, and your nervous system will go, okay, we'll do this thing over and over and over again, that's fine. Until now it's just, well, I have my glass of wine every day at 10 o'clock, or maybe it's the whole bottle of wine, maybe it's the whole box of cookies, or maybe it's my drugs, or maybe it's my pot every night, or maybe it's I'm in these abusive relationships. It just keeps going on and on and on. The body's like, we must be having a good time, right? Even though its demonstration of it is, I'm overweight, I'm unhealthy, I've got this chronic stress disease, this symptom, something, migraines, chronic fatigue, cancer, whatever it might be. There's your proof that you haven't found a way to integrate it from a place of self-honor, forgiving yourself for any self-betrayal that you may have gone through. I posted about the Ho'oponopono prayer. It's a Hawaiian prayer. It's, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Sometimes at night, I just say this like a mantra, and it puts me to sleep. Or on YouTube, there's free audios that you can listen to of someone saying it to you, and I just put it on. Sometimes it plays for 8 hours. I listen to it all night long to help me get to more of a place of self-forgiveness, because all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. Everybody in your whole life, no matter what they've done to you, they're a wet noodle. They're a nobody. They're nobody. They just came to show you where you're betraying yourself. They came to show you where you're stuck in looping in a focus, in a perception, in an awareness that hasn't been able to integrate you to a place of self-honor. And that's the goal. That's where your growth comes in. When you get to that place, you build your resiliency. This whole group is about what? Inner wisdom. Building inner wisdom. So that way you can handle life's stresses with resiliency. What's resiliency? It's when you gain the wisdom through growth to go on to the next thing, and you go, oh, I got this. I got me now. I trust me. I know exactly what I'm going to say here. I'm going to be compassionate and graceful in how I express it, but it's going to be me first. And that's the right thing to do because I'm the one who has to go to sleep at the end of the day for me. Is this making sense? Grow and grow. Exactly. Exactly. That's the whole thing. We want to keep growing and going to the next thing. We don't want to get stuck in looping. This is freaking torture, man. This is stress and struggle. This is a program. Tapping can help you snap out of it. It's you against your program. This is the program. You start here with a focus, a perception, an awareness of something. Maybe somebody showed you how to have it. Maybe it's a storyline you keep having. Well, if you get to the point where you go, okay, well, how do I honor myself in that storyline? Green lights, all mine. Grow and go. Keep going. Or I got to focus, an awareness, a story, a perception about something. Oh, and now I'm not quite sure how I'm doing it for them, their way. Oh, well, I always have to take care of everything for them. Oh, yeah, no, and then they yelled at me, and then this problem happens all the time, and now my body is going through this problem, and now I've got anxiety, and now I have all this, and oh, program. How do you stop it? Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. It'll stop the program, and you'll, hey, wait a second. Hold on, let me take a step back. What's going on here? How can I think about this differently? What can I add as resources to this thing that I know so well I'm an expert at? It's like singing that song on the radio that you hate. It's like, oh, I hate when that song comes on, but you know every word, and you're like, oh, I hate the song. Oh, don't make me listen to this song anymore. But you know every word. When you stop, you're like, oh, I can change the station. Oh, I can add more resources here. I can do something differently here. That's going to help you be able to move out of that and grow and go and keep going. Yeah, Kaylee says sometimes forgiving ourselves is so much harder than forgiving others. Yep, so true. Barbara Parker says, hi. Hey, Barbara, thanks for being here. Kaylee says, we have to option to get out of this worldly struggle. True enlightenment is on the way. Yeah. You know, we're living in a dimensional, this 3-dimensional world on this planet. You know, we only perceive things through the 5 senses and the body. There's a lot more going on here than we know how to perceive. Yet we take our experience as if it's the only thing. And we struggle in that. And the only way to set ourselves free from it is to honor who we are. And that's why I like that Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm so sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. You're forgiving yourself. You're validating and appreciating yourself. That part of you that is immensely valuable, that is full of honor, strength, wholeness, beauty, all of it. Yeah, so we're talking about problems, why we have problems, where they come from, and what we can do to shift them. So if you start to take a look at your life as it's you as whole and complete against your problems being an old, outdated program, a program that you can look at with perspective to say, someone taught me this. I don't care who it was. Thanks so much. It was a survival strategy. My ego decided to defend it, and I've been living that way for so long. But now I'm willing to change it because I want a different result. Because maybe that program is getting me to be off in the bushes every day, and I'm tired of calling AAA to get pulled out of the ditch. I'm ready to just kind of stay on the road now and be more deliberate, have focus, use my guidance system of my internal senses to tell me, am I going the right way? And then honor it. How many times are you driving down the road and your body's like, you should go right here, and you're like, the mind says, we're not going right there. We're not going that way. We're going this way. And the body's like, All right. So it drives the other way. And then all of a sudden you hit like a traffic jam. You're like, I knew it. I knew I should have gone right there. Or how many times do you go, oh, I wish I called that person back yesterday. You know, I thought of that person 3 times and I just never called them. And then look, our body has so much wisdom. Our internal senses are always trying to speak to us. But in the evolution of our mind is like, hey, just stay up here. We've thought of a lot of amazing things. So we got, we'll figure it out for you. So when you have your little looping program, stress and struggle, you have to look to the mind and go, yeah, you think you got it all? Then how come I'm struggling and suffering here? Maybe there's more going on than you know. That always helps me kind of get in the back door of my own mind, because I'm always an overthinker. I'm always like up here churning around and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not in my body. Uh-oh, I got to come back down here. When I'm back down here, it might be uncomfortable at first. I got to learn to kind of wiggle into my body and, oh, how does it feel? I don't know. Do I trust that feeling? You have to build rapport with your body. But your body has this wisdom. And once you learn to channel it and harness it and believe it and honor it as the ultimate authority to drive your life, man, the places it's going to take you. But you got to stop telling your stories to your best friend, your mother, your kids, your other people, your coworkers, because all that does is anchor in that BS program. What's BS? Belief system. Bullshit. Belief system. Stop telling that stuff to other people, because you're just practicing it more and more and more, getting perfect at it. How you get out of it? Let it go. 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 Yep, takes practice. Takes practice for sure. Well, I've been yammering on now for about an hour. So no matter where you caught me on this video, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of you being here and sharing this journey with me. And tapping is an amazing tool that can really help you to transform your life. My business is called Transformed Connections for a reason, because we're transforming the connection from the external to the internal. We're reclaiming our energy and our power by reprogramming our stress. And the technique that I love to use is tapping. If you like tapping, amazing. Get up close to your problems, tap while you're there at the same time. You need help? Get on a 30-minute call with me. I'm happy to show you the way. Tapping open house every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Every day I post different tapping scripts and different tapping strategies to help you know how to use it, as well as just reminders of how immensely valuable and beautiful you are. You need to remind yourself on a daily basis. No one is going to do it for you. I'm hoping to start a momentum of women supporting other women and being, kind and compassionate just by smiling at each other. And that's a beautiful thing, but you need to remind yourself every day how great you are. And don't be modest. Feel like, I'm freaking amazing. And it's me against my programming. And when I'm tripped up on a trigger or something that's really bothering me, there's my opportunity. There's my program staring me right in the face. There's that BS. Not going to do it anymore. I'm going to start tapping, wiggling the meaning, my attachment free from it, and start to grow and go. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Thank you, Melinda, for being here, and Kaylee and Barbara and everybody else. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Happy Sunday. Bye, ladies.